Hello everybody, welcome back to Newcastle Fans TV. It is a transfer roundup for today. According to Luke Edwards from the Telegraph, Newcastle are looking and exploring into the relegation market in terms of players that have been relegated with their clubs, and Newcastle are looking to maybe steal a couple of key players that can make a huge difference for Newcastle United. You look at the three teams that got relegated, we have to start with Leicester City. Everybody was shocked that Leicester City were relegated, and Luke Edwards has been reporting today that Newcastle are very much interested in Harvey, BARNES. According to other outlets, West Ham are actually leading the race for Harvey, BARNES, but Newcastle certainly have a keen interest in the Leicester winger. Scored, of course, on the final day against West Ham. The King Power, unfortunately, Leicester were relegated and Everton stayed up. But it doesn't matter. Harvey BARNES, I think he's a fantastic player. The question now is he better than what we've got? And in regards to that, I have a feeling that he can be better, potentially, than a Miguel Almiron. However, is it a big step up to be playing Champions League and Premier League? And is Miggy a safe pair of hands in that? I have to say, potentially, he is at this moment in time. But I still think a winger is something that Newcastle need to go for. Is Harvey BARNES that player? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. The other Leicester player, of course, it's James Maddison. It's always been James Maddison for the last 12 months. He's been mentioned again, which is not really a massive surprise. 1 year left on the contract, playing Championship football. James Maddison is not playing Championship football next season. He'll be playing in the Premier League, but for who? Newcastle is certainly interested in him. Spurs have made it clear that they're interested in him as well. Obviously, Ange Postecoglou is the new Tottenham manager. I'm sure that he'll be having a say in regards to that. But look, does Maddison want to join Newcastle United? I think that's what it's going to come down to. If he does, I think Newcastle will do the deal quite quickly. There's obviously been a big interest in him. But if there's any doubts, Newcastle will move on to other players. Southampton, we're going to talk about next. Two players that have been mentioned, Romeo Lavia and Kyle Walker-Peters. We'll start with Lavia in particular. I think Lavia, in terms of that defensive midfielder, I thought he was actually really good against Newcastle at St James's Park in the league game in April. It's particularly first half. He's very nitty and gritty. He gets stuck in, and he likes of Chelsea, Manchester City have been rumoured to want him at their clubs. But I think for Newcastle, it's certainly an opportunity to get a young player, develop him, and he could be absolutely brilliant. It could allow Bruno to move further forward. Again, is he ready for that big step up? Because that's what I think a lot of clubs will be looking at in European competition. Are these players who are playing for, let's be honest, lesser teams, good enough to make that step up? If they are, then fantastic. But again, how much will Southampton want for Romeo Lavia? Again, it is difficult to tell because Southampton haven't had him that long. But I do believe that if Newcastle can put in a sensible offer, I'm sure Southampton will have to consider it, because again, I don't think the player will want to play Championship football, and the club kind of expect that it's going to be difficult to keep him. The other player that I don't think that's going to happen, but there is reported interest from Luke Edwards, is Kyle Walker-Peters. I don't know why it doesn't make sense to me. The reason why I don't think it makes sense is because we've got technically 4 right backs at the football club. Kieran Trippier is one, Harrison Ashby, Emil Kraft could play right back, and Javier Manquillo. Do we really need another right back? I don't expect us to have 4 right backs at the start of the season, but I just don't think it really makes sense at this moment in time to have or to spend money on a right back when we have so many options. Some are better than others, but there's still options. I just don't see that one. I think he's an okay player, but he's certainly a player that I wouldn't be desperate to go for right now. And the final player from the relegated clubs is Leeds United's Tyler Adams. Again, very similar to Lavia, the types of nitty-gritty, breaks play up. Leeds didn't really have a great end to the season. Ultimately, that's why they got relegated. But Tyler Adams has been someone that's, been interesting. Some of the big boys as well. But again, is he ready for that step up? Is he ready to be playing Premier League and possibly Champions League? I'm again not 100% sure. Some people who watch Leeds more regular than me they think there is a good player in him and that he actually could make the step up. But look, Newcastle have to be really sensible. Like Jamie Rubin says, their pound has got to be spent better than the other clubs around them. Maybe Tyler Adams is the answer to that, but again, I'm not completely sold. But out of those 5 names that have been mentioned, if I had to really put my name and say I really want that sort of player, I would love James Maddison at Newcastle because I do think he will add something to this team. I think he'll add creativity, and I'm interested about Romeo Lavia as well because I do think there is something in that player. Maybe he needs another year playing Premier League football, but you can do that while learning off the best players in terms of your Bruno Guimaraes, your Joe Lintons of this world. So yeah, they're the couple of players that I would like out of those 5 that Luke Edwards has mentioned. I know he's done some great stuff, Luke Edwards, so I'm sure all the information that he's getting is correct. So it'd be interesting to see what Newcastle will do in this transfer window. But that is a transfer roundup of those names that we've mentioned today. Like and subscribe to Newcastle Fans TV, and we'll see you all very soon.